Fishing is a hobby as old as time itself. Although today's world is advancing so quickly, the secrecy around fishing is one thing that has remained the same. How often have you tried to learn from friends or people online only to be met with answers like, "I caught this fish in the lake, I hooked it in the mouth," or "it bit my secret lure"? The majority of anglers are not willing to share their knowledge as they have spent their entire fishing career learning the spots, lures, and tricks that work for them. This makes it impossible for new anglers to join the sport and enjoy all fishing has to offer without a serious time commitment and steep learning curve. In today's world, the most powerful tool anyone can have is quality information. Success ultimately comes down to the decisions you make, and the difference between a good and bad decision is as simple as the quality of information you have available at the time. Our mission is to help you become a more successful angler by providing the knowledge you need and how to apply it to the situations you may encounter while fishing. Our To Hero Fishing Masterclass has been put together from over 25 years of focused and strategic fishing adventures. By completing this course, you will learn how to fish like a pro no matter where you fish by making smart, informed decisions without having to spend a lifetime on the water learning it. This module will focus on fishing regulations. By completing this module, you'll know all the requirements you need to legally go fishing. We'll focus on requirements for Ontario and angling rather than other means by dip net or spear, but each province has similar regulations that will need to be considered before you go fishing. Although the regulations can be confusing or difficult to understand, you and you alone are responsible for compliance with them and can face severe fines if you do break the rules. Ignorance is not an acceptable answer, and the conservation officers will not let you go by saying you just didn't know. This module will hopefully clarify the important items to consider as well as give you links to resources so you can ensure that you are following all required regulations. We will start this module off with a brief overview of fishing regulations in Ontario. Whether or not you plan on keeping fish, if you go fishing, you need a license. You need to have it on you at all times while fishing and have identification to prove that it is your license. These are cheap and easy to obtain. The fishing regulations in Ontario are enforced by conservation officers, shown in the pictures here, also known as the green and white or COs, and they're able to hand out fines for breaking the rules. They're here to protect the fisheries for the future and make sure our resources can be enjoyed for generations to come. If we all don't work together to protect our fisheries, in a few short years you may not even be able to enjoy it. We want to highlight early in this module that the fines are much more expensive than the cost of doing it right or benefit from cheating the system. Get your license and don't break the rules. If you don't understand the rules, reach out and ask or flag a CO the next time you see them on the water to clarify before doing anything. Their main goal is to educate and help protect our fisheries, not give you a hard time. New Wave Fishing Academy wants you to enjoy fishing as much as we do and know some of the rules and regulations can be confusing or unclear. Getting a fine for not understanding the rules can be a huge push away from the sport, which we want you to avoid. Some common don'ts when fishing that are not obvious and sometimes unclear to new anglers include transporting live fish. This is illegal without a special license. This rule is in place to prevent people from introducing species into areas where they are not native and interrupting the ecosystem. If you are transporting fish in your boat from the lake to your house to eat, be sure to drain the live well or make sure the fish are dead so there is no room for interpretation on your intentions. Catching or keeping of any fish that is not hooked in the mouth is illegal. If a fish was hooked in the mouth and it came out during the fight, it is okay to keep, but if you never saw it, the hook in the mouth, it's technically not okay. This rule is to stop people from snagging fish, which can severely injure the fish if it does get away. When transporting dead or filleted fish, you need to keep skin on the species so the size and species can be identified by COs. This is to ensure people are not catching and possessing over their legal limit. The use of live bait is restricted in some areas. Check your local regulations to ensure you are in compliance. In addition, there are limits to the number of live bait species you are able to possess. Further, you must use local live bait. This is to prevent the accidental introduction of invasive species into the ecosystem. One final common don't, you cannot use game fish species for bait, dead or alive. This includes perch, sunfish, crappie, bass, and pike. These species are illegal to use, and the legal species that can be used as bait are outlined in the fishing regulations. If you plan on trying your luck fishing, whether or not you plan to keep or fish or not, a license is still required. Fishing licenses are cheap to purchase and there is no test. The cost of fishing licenses pay for enforcement of the regulations, fish conservation efforts, stocking programs, and education about our fisheries. Licenses can be purchased for a single day, 1 year, or 3-year durations, and the expiry of the license is on December 31st of the stated year. Anglers can purchase either a sportsman or conservation license, and the difference in these two are the price and the amount of fish you are legally allowed to keep. It's important to note that entering any fishing tournament will usually require a sportsman license, as the tournament limits will reflect the catch limits of a body of water. If you only have a conservation limit, you will not be able to keep the same amount of fish as other anglers and won't be able to compete. Although fishing licenses are needed to go fishing, there are some exceptions to the rules that everyone should be aware of. You can still purchase a fishing license even if you do fall into one of the exemption categories, but using these exemptions is a great way to introduce someone new into the sport with no hassle. The big one is age. If you are under 18 or over 65, you do not need to purchase a fishing license. You only need to have a form of ID on you to identify your age. If you're much younger than 18, you'll often not need ID and you probably won't have one, but there is the possibility of being mistaken for being over 18, so having a health card or driver's license with you is always a good idea. Family fishing opportunities are free fishing periods where anyone can fish in Ontario. The exact dates of these change year to year, so you should consult the regulations before assuming the dates. But anglers fishing for free during the family fishing opportunities must follow the conservation limits if they are fishing without a license during one of these periods. Additional exemptions from requiring a fishing license include members of service, those with disabilities, and those of Aboriginal status. Be sure to check the most up-to-date regulations to verify if you meet any of these exemptions. When it comes to specific regulations for fishing in Ontario, the province is broken down into 20 different fishery management zones. It is crucial that anglers know what zone they are in. The seasons and limits for species can vary considerably from one to the next. Check the regulations for the specific boundaries on zones if you are unclear which you fall into. Each fishery management zone will outline where fish sanctuaries are. They are usually not posted very well on the shoreline, so be sure to check the regulations. Sanctuaries are places that allow species to spawn without interference from anglers, and is usually a countermeasure to overfishing in the past. This allows the species to have a successful spawn and continue having a healthy population. Any exemptions to the rules of the zone will also be stated in the regulations. Usually they are more strict in terms of sizes, limits, or even ability to target species in a body of water at all, so it pays to look before going. We want to stress that anglers should check the regulations before heading out. It takes 5 minutes and can save you expensive fines. PDF copies can be downloaded on your smartphone for easy access on and off the water, and hard copies are available that can be brought with you as well. New for 2022 is the introduction of baitfish management zones in Ontario. Baitfish management zones come into effect on January 1st, 2022, and these baitfish management zones are put into place to avoid the transmission of baitfish and potential diseases across the country, to avoid invasive species and overall aid in the maintenance and sustainability of baitfish populations. An angler's baitfish management zone that they are assigned is wherever your primary residence is located. Once you have a baitfish management zone, you cannot move baitfish into or out of a baitfish management zone, whether it is dead or alive. If you are fishing in an area outside of your baitfish management zone that's assigned to you, you must purchase baitfish locally. And in addition, you are not allowed to harvest any baitfish outside of your assigned baitfish management zone. The baitfish management zones also outline harvesting, disposal, and possession limit rules and regulations. So be sure to check out your baitfish management zone requirements so that you can be in compliance and not run into any fines, and also contribute to improving the sustainability of our baitfish populations in Ontario. Each fishery management zone has its own catch and possession limits for each species and license type an angler can have. The catch limit is the number of fish you catch and keep in a day. Any fish you catch and release are not counted in this total. If you catch and keep, eat, or give away these fish, they all count towards your catch limit. For an example, if the catch limit is 5 and you go out in the morning, keep 5 fish, clean and cook them, or give them away to family member on shore, you can't go back out and keep more in the afternoon. If you don't keep 5 fish, you can go back out and keep as many to fill that limit of 5. The possession limit, on the other hand, is the total number of fish of a species you can have in your possession at one time. This does not include fish given away or eaten, but does include any fish you have stored in your car, boat, fridge, freezer, or cooler. Often anglers make the mistake of giving a fish to a friend to bring home for the cookout while they go home to change or put the boat away. This friend could then be in excess of the possession limit and face fines if caught. If you need to transport the fish, be sure you are not in the excess of the posted limits. Right. Once you have reached your catch limit, you cannot continue to fish. The only exception to this is if the fish are stored in a live well and culling is allowed in your water body. Culling is the term used to describe exchanging one fish in your limit for another. In order to do this legally, the fish must be stored in good condition in a live well and released alive and in good health. Tossing a dead fish back into the water is illegal and faces huge penalties if caught. There are often size restrictions on the fish anglers are able to keep. The size restrictions follow one of 3 formats. So many fish under X amount of inches, so many over X amount of inches, or no fish in between a set of measurements. These limits are to help preserve the population of fish with the greatest chance for a successful spawn, and therefore the overall health of the fishery. As a side note, the growth of fish is pretty consistent in a length per year format, so this is how fisheries biologists assess the maturity of the fish and come up with these regulations. With size limits being in effect, it is important you know how to properly measure your fish to avoid keeping an illegal fish. The measurement of fish should happen from the nose to the tip of the tail. This is with the jaw closed and the tail fins pinched together to give the maximum possible length. A mistake anglers often make is measuring their fish by laying the measuring tape over top of the fish while it sits on the ground. This is the wrong way. By doing this, the measurement is distorted by the girth of the fish and can add an inch or more to your measurement. This can lead to keeping a fish that is too short that you think is big enough. When measuring your fish, be sure to place the fish on top of the measuring tape or have the measuring tape below the fish as shown in some of the images here. We've talked a lot about the fishing regulations, but they can be difficult to find if you don't know where to look. To help you out, we've compiled a list of online destinations where you can find fishing regulations and purchase fishing licenses. Aside from these resources, if you have any questions, both in Ontario or elsewhere, we recommend contacting the Ministry of Natural Resources, Department of Fisheries and Wildlife, or visit a local sporting goods store to be pointed in the right direction. You can also reach out to us at New Wave Fishing Academy for any questions or clarification you may have, and we'd be happy to help. The most important takeaways from this training module that you should remember is that you and you alone are responsible for being in compliance with the regulations. Playing dumb is not going to do you any favors or help you avoid costly fines from the conservation officers. Each fishery management zone has its own seasons, limits, and sizes for each species, so be sure you know where you are and what the limits are before heading out on the water. Whether you plan on keeping fish or not, you still need to purchase a fishing license. It's cheap and can help you avoid costly fines for fishing without one. The fishing regulations are updated yearly, so be sure to get the most up-to-date versions each year so you can stay on top of things and make sure you're following all required regulations. Congratulations on completing this module and moving one step closer to becoming an exceptional angler. Continue to review the material in this module to solidify your understanding and continue to use it as a reference point for planning your future fishing adventures. Be sure to check out our blog for more fishing tips, tricks, and ideas. The New Wave Fishing Academy offers a number of other training modules to help you become a more successful angler, and we encourage you to continue completing them. New Wave Fishing Academy would like to personally thank you for completing this training module. Our mission has and always will be to help you become a more successful angler by providing you with the knowledge and ability to apply this knowledge to help you catch more fish. In order for us to continue our mission, we need to hear from you. If you have comments, questions, ideas, or want us to prepare a module just for you, do not hesitate to reach out. We will do our best to update our content to give you the best information possible. If you're looking to continue your learning on the water with us, we would be thrilled to book a session. Our thoughts are that there's no better way to learn than by doing, so we offer our lessons while offering you a fishing trip on the world-class fishery of Georgian Bay. We will teach you all you need to know and can tailor your trip to suit your needs. Whether you're looking to target largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, northern pike, walleye, lake trout, or muskie, we can prepare a trip for you. New Wave Fishing Academy operates on the eastern shore of Georgian Bay between Parry Sound and the French River. Looking for a fishing vacation? Reach out and we can hook you up with resorts that will offer you the best chance to meet your fishing goals. Whether you're looking for a remote getaway or drive to cottage, all our recommendations are within a 3 hours drive north of Toronto. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, by phone or email, and at our website. We are always sharing great content, new courses, tips and tricks, and the best catches of our students. New Wave Fishing Academy loves to hear your thoughts, feedback, and questions. If you want to see what the New Wave Fishing team has been up to when we're not providing lessons, check us out on YouTube for our latest fishing adventures and see just what is waiting for you once you unlock your fishing potential.